Okay, I'm going to show you how to use DuckSoup. DuckSoup is a website. Basically, what it does is you create a take a worksheet and make it more digital. First thing you need to know is it is not made for long answers. So it really only works well for short answer questions, short answer worksheets, such as things where the answers are numbers. That's why I use it a lot for math. Multiple choice things, um, one word answers. And the reason is because when you put in the answer key, it's going to grade it exactly as what you wrote. You can go in and change that. I'll show you how to do that. Um, but it doesn't work well for anything more than one word. Okay? Alright, so the first thing you're going to need to do is go to the DuckSoup website, and it is ducksoup.us, not .com. And then you're going to do create an account. Now, because I've already created an account, it's kind of hard to show you what it's going to look like. So I have a few pictures. It looks very similar when when the students create their account and when you create yours. Um, so I went in and created a student account whenever I was showing them how to use it and took some pictures. Um, so I'll kind of show you that. So the first thing you do is create an account, and this does link with Google. So you're going to do sign in with Google. Now, you'll notice how mine comes up and it has both of my Google accounts, um, my school one and my personal one. You're going to want to definitely use your school one if it gives you this option, because it'll link with your Google Drive. Um, so I would select that. You would select yours if it gives you that option. The next thing it's going to ask you to do, most likely, is to allow permissions right here. Um, it pretty much makes you do that every time. I know some websites only make you do it once, but a lot of ours, I think, make you do it more than time. So I'm going to allow. Taking a little longer than normal, but while we do that, I'm going to show you. Mine's going to go straight to all my steps, so I don't want you to get too overwhelmed with that. So the first thing it's going to do is ask you to check and make sure your name is right. So um, this is just a picture, so I'm not going to be able to click it or anything, but it's going to ask you to check your name. Now I just left mine as is. I didn't change it to Miss Dykes or anything. Um, at this point, really, you don't need to go through the next. And so when your students do this as well, you don't need to do that. Um, I'm not sure if it's before this screen or after, but it's going to ask if you're a student or a teacher. Um, so you'll need to make sure that when you do it, you click teacher, obviously, and when the students do theirs, they click student, um, so that we can make this work right. And then you can tell them to just to click the Got It button because it's going to walk them through a few things that's not really necessary. That's what I'm about to show you. If you click Got It, um, it'll pop up and have a screen that looks kind of like this and tells you to put in a student ID or update your password. You don't have to do that. This is kind of the full um, screen. It looks very similar to this. There's no need to add your school because it really doesn't link anything there. So pretty much once you're in and have the link to your Google account, your account's fine. Um, you or the students don't need to do this. Okay? Now, once you are in your account, I'm going to go to mine now. Now, I already have classes. I left all my classes in from last year so that I'd have stuff to show you. Haven't deleted it yet. And this is my dashboard. Now, yours is going to be blank, and yours is going to be asking you to create a class. Okay? So, to create a class, there's two places to do it. You can click the classes button. Okay? Oh, nope, don't do that. Sorry. Just click the new class button. I need to show you the other. And then you can create your class name. So, I'm just going to create one named practice. Being a little slow. Okay, so as soon as you put in your class name and click create, this is usually the first thing that pops up. It tells you, oops, there's no e-sheets because we haven't added anything yet. I'm going to go ahead and tell you to X that out so you can see a couple of things. This is your class code. Most of us all are familiar with um, PlayPosit and Google Classroom to where the kids can use a code to add. So real quick, just to kind of tell you when you're ready for the students to join your class, they'll need to go on to ducksoup.us. A lot of them if they already have an account, just get them to log in. They can add more than one class, just like on the others. But if they don't, they need to create their account, log in with their Google, click that they're a student. Um, they don't have to change any of that other stuff, just like what we just looked at. And then there'll be a place for join a class, just like how yours says new class over here. When they first get on, it'll kind of flash at them if they don't have any classes added over here on this little menu bar, and it'll ask them to type in the code. And this is the code you'll give your kids. So when I do my class, I just kind of walk it through with them because I usually start this with my sixth graders first, and I have them go on and do everything together and then add the class. Okay, so right now it tells you there's no students. Later I'll go into one of my classes I already have and show you what this looks like when you do have students. So that's how you create a class, and then you get them to join your class using your code. I have not found a way for you just to add your own students. It's not something I've played with because it's easier for me to just let them do it. There might be a way, but I have not found it. Okay, so the next we're going to is talking about what the e-sheet. The e-sheet is your worksheets that you're going to be putting on there. Okay, first thing I want to show you is there's two ways to do this. You can click New e-sheet down here, or you can click this little plus button, and it gives you your create one. Oop, it's telling me there isn't any. Create one or assign one. So this doesn't always pop up. If it not, you can just do it over here on the left. So I'm going to say I want to create an e-sheet. And I'm going to kind of show you this menu, and then I'm going to show you how I create mine. When you get to this menu, it automatically links to your Google Drive. Okay, so you can add documents from there. You can add PDFs. I have not done this, but if you have a PDF saved, um, these are PDFs that are in my drive. Okay, or you can upload. So if you have a worksheet that you love, that you've used every year, and you have it saved to your regular desktop computer, you can pull those on here. Now, I don't do that as often because I told you earlier that the answers have to be exact for them to count correct for the students. Um, and a lot of times you have to give really good instructions as to how they need to type their answer in, because if I type it in uppercase, they have to type it in uppercase. That's kind of the worst part about DuckSoup is it has to be specific. So I prefer to take other worksheets I have, if there's a worksheet I don't want to do without, and take a snip of it and save it as an image and then put it into a Google Doc. And so I'll show you one of those that I did. So I'm going to go into my drive now just to show you. I made just a little fake folder here with some different ideas to show you guys. First, I'm going to show you this one. I'm just going to pull them up. These are just Google Docs inside a folder. I do find it easier to make sure that I can save it for next year. So when I give these a title, I try to put Duck Soup in the title along with what it is so that I can find it later to add it if I'm going to use it again for the next school year. So I made the mistake of not doing that this first year of me using this. So, okay, so this is just, you can tell this is just typed in. You could have copied and pasted from somewhere, but this is just typed in some little simple math problems. Okay, you could put blanks in. It can be questions like number 6 that have there. You don't have to have blanks at the end of the questions. I'll show you that in a minute. So that's one idea. Notice there's no instructions here. And this was one of the first ones I think we did in math. And I kind of learned to type the instructions for myself. So, for instance, let me pull this one up. In math, we were doing percent sale questions where they have to find the part or the whole. And they have to write their numbers. If I wanted them to have a dollar sign or if I didn't, if there's spaces, that kind of thing. So I made it a point to do this at the top, and I try to always make mine green because they tend to pay attention to it better then. But it tells them for their answers to write them in money form. I'm sure there's a much more, mathematical way to say that, but for my sixth graders, it makes questions less, with a dollar sign. So then I give them some examples of how their answer needs to look. Okay, if they don't type it, if they put a space between the number sign and the 3, it's going to count it wrong. And yes, it's kind of iffy the first couple of times they use this, but they learn to pay attention to how they have to write their answers. Okay, so this would be, notice there's no answers, there's no nothing on this yet. Okay, so that's another example. Here's the one where I took a worksheet that I just pulled real quick off the internet. And I went, it's just, I think, mathaids.com or one of those. And I just took a snippet of part of the worksheet, okay, and saved it to, you can save it to your drive or your computer, whatever you would rather. And then I typed in the instructions, and then I just did insert image, so you can tell that's an image there, and put that on my Google Doc. So if you have an old worksheet that you just love, maybe it has a good graph on it or whatever, that I think is the best way to do it. If it's a hard copy, you can always scan it to your computer, and then take your snip and save it and use it as an image. But I like to be able to put their instructions. So this says solve each inequality, write your answer in this format, x equals 2. Okay, I know this is equals and these are inequalities. I goofed up doing that. I didn't want to redo it. And then no spaces and using lowercase letters. Okay, now here's something you've got to know. This is big. Once you put your sheet into DuckSoup, you cannot change anything about it. You can't change the instructions at all. This is how the sheet's going to look. You know, yes, you can change the answers that you're going to show when I show you how to do that, but you cannot change the instructions. So make sure that you tell them at the top how they need to answer the questions in the instructions. Okay? Now, like I said, I mostly use this for math, but I did think of a couple of things for science. I didn't use it last year for science. It was my first year to find it. But, you know, if we were doing abiotic or biotic factors, okay, one-word answers. You didn't have to do this as a chart. I just did. You could do it with a blank beside it. When I show you how to do your answers inside DuckSoup, it'll make a little more sense. You see, I just said they could type biotic or abiotic. Use lowercase letters only. Okay, biggest thing is once you tell them to use lowercase letters, you've got to make sure when you put your answers in, you do that as well. Also, I pulled up a released ELAR. I think it might have been 3rd or 4th grade. I don't remember. Now, you can have more than one page in DuckSoup. I'll try to show you that when I get into the class to show you. But like, I just took a real short part of a passage that was on the release test. I added my instructions. I took a snip of that, so it's an image. And then I even took snips of some of the questions, okay, and put those on there. And so whenever I put it in, I can do these as multiple choice. Okay, so those are some ideas of how I created the sheets. Okay, so like I said, you can take a picture of it, or you can just type it up into a Google Doc, but I just found that's the easiest for me. That way I can make sure to put their instructions. Okay, so we've covered logging in to DuckSoup, creating your account, creating a class, and then how to create some sheets. Okay, now I'm going to do another video in a few minutes about how to add the sheets and assigning them and all of that. So look for part 2.